Hello. Meant to record this one on Wednesday, but I had a rough day. Well, rough. I had a very energetic day that started a lot earlier than I had slept for. So I instead opted to go to sleep and record it the next day. And then that day, yesterday, came and went, and it wasn't till I was brushing my teeth that I had realised that, I neglected to record again. And by that point it was already 4 in the morning, so I decided today. I've been running into an issue with getting on task, I guess. I thought I'd figured myself out that if I just properly dose with the right amount of caffeine, I can commit to a task and then make headway, but my ability to do so is seemingly unconnected to the caffeine consumption as of late. I've been waking up earlier, but not early enough to sort of offset the panic that arrives around 9 p.m. when I realise that the sun is going down and I still haven't done anything. Still, it's not all bad. Something I have also been thinking about is wasted potential seasonally. Right now is optimal time to hang out outside with friends. But everybody I know is either out of country, out of province, or not in the position or preference to hang out outside after dark. Years ago, I had a number of friends who would do this, both when I was in high school and outside of high school during COVID. There were people I could see. I had a friend who lived close enough by that we'd be playing games and then we'd both get hungry for a snack or something, and we'd meet up at the convenience store that was equidistant from our houses. But unfortunately, at some time in the last year, previous year, not last year, he moved away. My other friend, who would pick me up in his truck, and we'd go to whatever. If it was in daylight, we might go swimming, or if it was dark, we might go exploring. He's been out of province for the better half of a year, and seemingly won't be able to return this summer. My friend who visited last year and filled that void left by my other friends, I'm no longer on speaking terms with them. And my other friend who filled that void during the summer after my former friend was done visiting is too busy with summer school and work to hang out for more than an afternoon, let alone past dark. Though he would if he could. It's a shame, right? All this lovely weather and all this time I have, and I'm just not really using it for anything. I spent the entire winter just waiting for these days to come, and now that I'm here, nothing. One of my neighbors has their speakers really, really loud. I don't know what's going on there. They're like 2 houses down, but I can still hear it. My window's not even open. Wild. Anyway. Yeah, wasted potential. On the bright side of that thought, I know next year is going to be far better, save for any global catastrophe. My best friend will be living in town in Provence again, and my other friends will be done with school and have more amicable schedules. And hopefully I will have moved on from this miserable job. Hopefully. I've been advised to see a doctor about possible testing for ADHD or other similar brain things. It's not something I've been formally tested for since I was a kid, and test results back there were inconclusive for just about everything. But one of my siblings just recently got put on, I forgot what the medicine was, but they're on something now for their ADHD, and they said it helped them turn around their school semester, so I am sort of terrified of becoming reliant on a medication. Something about it doesn't sit right with me, that my ability to function revolves around a bottle of pills that is given to me. I'd rather be unchained by something like that, but maybe it's worth a try. I don't know when I'll see the doctor. It probably won't be for a while, but I'm going to have to remember to bring it up. I'll try to. I said this in the last one, or maybe the one before that, but this is the earliest I've ever recorded one of these. It's not even midnight yet. Yeah, there's still about 40 minutes to midnight, and here we are. There will be a guitar bit in this one. I've been really longing to play the guitar all week, but at some point during my work week I hit my index finger on my fingering hand, and it's been sort of painful to any level of pressure for the entire time I've been off work. It's only become just manageable enough that I can press down on a string for a little bit today. Yesterday and the day before it was completely impossible for me to play using my index finger, which is a shame because I sort of require it for the majority of chords. Yeah, so I've been itching to play. There's something I realised while reminiscing on a past relationship I had, wherein I came to realise that while I could read my partner like a book and predict their every move for the most part, they could not do the same for me. Oh my god. You know what, I think one of my neighbours has acquired a drum set. I think that's going to pick up in the video, because that was quite loud. Anyway, back to the terribly melancholy thing I was talking about before I got distracted by the drums. They didn't know or understand me the way I knew or understood them. Which I think is why it didn't work out. Like, of course, you're not going to be able to understand everything about a given person, but your best of friends will know what you're thinking just by looking at you. They'll be able to read your expressions, if that's something they can do. They'll read your expressions and be able to surmise your thoughts because they know you, right? But with them, I did not feel known, right? Makes me sad to think about, and it's picking at that old gaping wound. But the thought that no matter what I did, because they couldn't know me, because they couldn't understand me, it wasn't going to work out. That sort of feels like a little bit of a band-aid on top of that wound. One that maybe came a little too late, because this was years ago, but band-aid nonetheless. And now I wonder, I'm fumbling my words, now I wonder to myself, have I ever really been known? There were people who thought they knew me, but didn't really know anything. And no, I've absolutely been known. My friends know me. They know what I'm thinking. But in terms of partners, I don't think I've ever been in a relationship where I felt known. And I wonder what that feels like, right? Maybe that's the end goal, right? Well, on a lighter note, turns out my favourite muffin has not been discontinued, and they've got it back in the shops, so that's good. Staring at this drink I have in my hand, which I'm going to. I hope this doesn't bother anyone. That's what it sounds like. It's a bottled drink. It's called Velo Aloe, as in aloe vera. It's got little chunks of aloe vera in it, and it's aloe vera and I think strawberry flavoured. I'm not sure. The cap is red, but it's quite good, and sort of has the same strange feel to it that drinking boba does, with the chunks in the drink. Because again, there's chunks of aloe vera in it. Arguably the best summer of my life, I was introduced to this drink. It came at a good time. I was pretty down that year because of aforementioned relationship issues, but there are a lot of good things that happened, a lot of new things in old places. That year was when my habit of revisiting places I had been to as a kid began, really. And now it's just something I do. I revisit old places, have old drinks, listen to old songs, and try to put myself back in old moments. And I don't know if it's healthy, but it brings me some kind of feeling. Either way, if this drink is something that's like available to you in your country or something, or wherever you may be, try it. They're a little pricey, pricier than like a soda. I think they're priced about the same as the average bottle of juice, but it's quite good. I like them. While I was staring at it though, I was reminded of that summer, and one of the places I went to hang out a lot that summer was the school I went to, my middle school, or junior high, right? Because the playground there is large and they had a really big swing set and a place to park your car, so it was an easy place to pull up to or bike to or what have you, right? And everybody knew where it was. And I've driven past there recently, just yesterday actually, just to see how things are, and there's new constructions about. It's still the same building, but there's a new hole in it. They've put in an exit where there wasn't one before, and they've built a bridge between it and the neighbouring school. They've moved some parking spaces, cut down a tree or two. And while seeing that place, staring into the drink in my hand, I was reminded of Adventure Time, which for those who don't know was an exceptional show for children. It was a cartoon. It began as just a show for children between the ages of 10 to 13, right? Like prepubescent. But the show had many seasons. I think it had 7 or 8. And with each season, the main character who started the show at the age of 13, as well as the voice actor. He would age every season 1 year up, and as the character aged year by year, and as the voice actor aged year by year, so did everybody who was the target audience of that show. So instead of being something that people watching it, like children watching it, would grow out of, the show grew with them. It went from covering silly things like, oh, people shouldn't beat other people up for no reason, or go save the princess, or oh, look how funny it is when the main character has an irrational fear of the ocean. It then went to, what does heartbreak feel like? Or what does it mean to love someone who doesn't love you back? Or how do you deal with abandonment by your parents? Or how do you deal with not being okay with the body you're in? Or being scared of the future? Or not being on good terms with someone who was once your friend? As the show went on, it became more and more real and down to earth, and the ending of the show was exceptional. It ended with like an epic battle and whatnot, but it ended with the main characters of the show singing a song which is very unique audibly, and it's not sung very well, but it plays into the fear of time. The song itself being the title of the show with the words swapped. The song's called Time Adventure. Time is an illusion that helps things make sense. That's why we're always living in the present tense. It seems unforgiving when a good thing ends, but you and I will always be back then. It's poetry, right? And that you and I will always be back then sort of hit me, because I was the age of the main character as I watched the show, but I stopped watching at some point. At some point I stopped watching television altogether, with the exception of anime, because I watched it on my computer. But after I graduated high school and had been in relationships, and the quarantine hit, I decided to pick it back up. And right then and there, the end of the show, the last season, played exactly into everything I'd been thinking about. There's another song in that show that plays into that fear of entropy and time and change. And I think I'm going to play that one for you. Just adjusting my position here. Let's go in the garden, you'll find something waiting right there where you left it, lying upside down. When you finally find it, you'll see how it's faded. The underside is lighter when you turn it around. Everything stays right where you left it. Everything stays, but it still changes ever so slightly, daily and nightly, in little ways, when everything stays. Go down to the ocean, the crystal tide is raising, the water's gotten higher as the shore washes out. Keep your eyes wide open, even when the sun is blazing. It controls the tide, it could cause you to drown. Everything stays right where you left it. Everything stays, but it still changes ever so slightly, daily and nightly, in little ways, when everything stays. Yeah. It's a song that often springs to mind when I find old toys or items from when I was a kid, or when I see childhood places being renovated. Like, everything stays right where you left it, but change. Yeah. I'm just repeating the words from the song. The show has a handful of other lovely songs, but a lot of them are quite weird. The show had an exceptionally unique soundtrack. There was a lot quite unique about that show. I've been thinking about perhaps processing the guitar bits in this a bit more than I do. There's something more real about having no processing on it, but it would theoretically sound better if I were to run it through Ableton or any DAW really, instead of Audacity, where I have limited control over inputs and outputs. But I don't want to overcomplicate things for the listener or for myself. So if you think it would sound better if the guitar bits in these videos sounded more like the things on my SoundCloud, then let me know, and perhaps I'll make the change. I want to play another song here. Another Cave Town one. It's been on my mind lately, not through the meaning of its words or anything, but it's in of itself is a good and interesting song. And he made it twice. There's This Is Home and Home. One he made when he was a kid, and then one he he rewrote it slightly and then re-released it as an adult. And the changes are very small, but it's interesting that he'd do it twice. He did the same with Banana Bread, which is another song of his I very much like. Anyway, yeah, let me play that. Often I'm upset that I cannot fall in love, but I guess this avoids the stress of falling out of it. Are you tired of me yet? I'm a little sick right now, but I swear that no matter how it flies out of here. I'll cut my hair to make you stare. I'll hide my chest and I'll figure out a way to get us out of here. Turn off your porcelain face. I can think right now in this place. There's too many colors, enough to drive all of us insane. Are you dead? Sometimes I think I'm dead, 'cause I can feel ghosts right in my head, and I don't wanna fall asleep just yet. My eyes went dark. I don't know where. My pupils are, but I'll figure out a way to get us out of here. Get a load of this monster. Doesn't know how to communicate. His mind is in a different place. So everybody please give him a little bit of space. Get a load of this train wreck. His hair's a mess and he doesn't know who he is yet. Little do we know the stars welcome him with open arms. Oh. Tracing his face, but strangely he feels at home in this place. That song's another one of the first ones I ever learned how to play on guitar. and I think might be the second one I learned how to play and sing at the same time, given that its strumming pattern can be quite simple. Dun, 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 right? It's simple enough that I deviated quite a bit from the original, whether that's through like laziness or creative freedom is to be determined by whoever's listening. It's hard to be in a transition period of your life, right? It's that picture of the man in the diamond mine. Like, he can't see the end. He can only see that he's gotten so far and nothing. Maybe that's a bad analogy or a bad thing to draw to, but it popped into my head. Right now, I and many other people are in a transition period where things are visibly, mentally, physically, objectively worse than they were a year ago, 2 years ago, and especially like 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Maybe not 5 for a lot of people, but certainly for me. And it's hard because you cannot see how far you're going to go up, right? Nor do you know if you're at the bottom. I'm trying to sound poetic, trying to formulate my thoughts, but it's not working. Oh, you know what? I've neglected to talk about what I've done this week. Silly me. On Wednesday, I went out with friends, school friends. They planned this big dinner for something I wasn't a part of, but they invited me anyway. And we went to a fancy new Japanese restaurant, and it was huge. Like, the restaurant itself was large, high ceilings, so many, like they had a bar and a gift shop inside of the restaurant, and a huge kitchen, and I swear there were more than 30 waiting staff. More than 30 people, like, bringing stuff to tables and taking orders. Insane. They had people for the bar and then people for the kitchen, and yeah, it was crazy. Lots of people going in and out, and they had a lot of sushi options. Yeah. I tried the ramen there. It was pretty good ramen for this far inland. It still doesn't beat the ramen in in Japan, or the one shop in the place the town my friend lives, a province away. But it was pretty good. The sushi was great. I ate a ton of sushi because my classmates kept ordering different platters, not for themselves but just for the table, and not everybody at the table liked sushi, so I just get one every time. Had lobster, squid. There was one sushi. It was like 10 rolls or something, and they were all in a line, decorated to look like a big dragon. That was fun. They had like fish eggs for the eyes. I don't know how authentic the place was, but it was certainly very interesting. They were selling like they were selling perfect grade perfect grade Gundam kits in the gift shop, and taiyaki and all kinds of things. Pokemon model kits. It was wild. After that, we went to a place with a bunch of pool tables to play pool, and I, at some point, being inexperienced with pool or billiards, in North America we call it pool, I don't know why we call it pool. That's weird. Anyway, yeah, billiards. I grazed my knuckles against the table and got rug burn on both of them, and I didn't notice until we left the building that my knuckles were bleeding. Which seems to be happening a lot these days. Sometimes I just look down at my hand and I've got a cut and there's blood or something. I think after working my job for so long, my hands have sort of become numb to minor injury. Aside from the theoretical internal bruising on my index finger, it started to hurt quite a bit while I was playing this song there. Like, a lot, but I had to power through and finish the song. I'm putting my body on the line for the content. I was hoping that I could get this weekend of mine to be extremely productive, with the way that going out with my friends on Wednesday really tired me out and had me going to bed early. But yesterday I sort of threw a wrench in that by staying up late with the same friends, drawing together using a website called Magma. If you have friends that like to draw and have like drawing tablets and stuff, I highly recommend using, or at least trying out Magma. And we had a bit of fun with it. But yeah, that had me up until late, as I mentioned far earlier in this video. And then I got woken up at quite early today, and then I couldn't go back to sleep as much as my body really, really wanted me to, because there was construction going on in my house. Like, deafeningly loud construction. It's a shame. I think I'd be productive right now. Or I would have been productive for the last few hours if I'd gotten a proper amount of sleep. And now I have work tomorrow, and yeah, it's a shame. Maybe next week. I'm still considering doing morning audios. But thinking about it, the only thing that makes these like sleepy time audios is the way in which I speak, being sort of soft tone, and the fact that I record them at night. But I suppose it really doesn't matter. Like, these videos are what you make of them, so maybe specifically morning audios wouldn't really change much but the background. Or when I record them. who knows? I'll think on it once I've shifted my sleep schedule to something more morning compliant. Anyway, for now, this is where I'm going to end this one. If you're listening to this while trying to fall asleep, listen to something that is a little more... Actually, I don't know. Last night I fell asleep to an ASMR video, but the night before that I fell asleep to, I think, a game review or something. Might have been a Maxwell video. There go the drums again. Anyway, if you're, to continue the outro, I guess, if you're just waking up, hello, good morning, have a good day, be more productive than I was, which was not productive at all, so that's a pretty low bar. If you've fallen asleep and you just woke up, I'm sorry. Go back to bed, everything's alright. As for me, I will probably go to bed shortly after I upload this. Or maybe not. Anyway, bye-bye. Good night.